again, I can't ever be
Okay.
nice, isn't it?
Too bad you're such a big teaser.
You have a
And then I
speech,
grew
Donna?
up with it.
Yep, I gave it to, intro to Pete.
Pete, do you have a speech evaluator yet?
Thank you.
Do you have a speech evaluator yet?
No, I don't.
Okay. Hey,
You're gonna need 4.
4 speech evaluators?
Yes, you are.
Okay, good morning, good morning, good morning. Oh, we've got the whole process walking in here.
Well, yeah. Do you want me to move down one, and I can sit right here?
I'll sit the back.
Oh, no, come sit right here.
Are you doing your icebreaker?
Yes.
So what?
Come sit right here. I won't bite you. You can sit right by
Right next to George.
Who else is speaking besides Donna and Stacy?
Alan and Virginia.
Okay. You got a manual? A manual for the evaluator?
No, I don't. Alan's doing a canned one, so he needs, yes. So he needs a blank.
Okay.
And where do we put those?
Can I put you to work, Kenny?
I know.
Yeah. Would you like to do an evaluation on an icebreaker
Mike.
speech?
Sure, you.
Good.
May I pass this
Want to
to
sign
you?
our guest book?
Yeah, hey,
Thank you.
please put that.
This is Stacy Knutz. I don't know if you know Stacy.
No,
Kenny Kubish.
if it was.
Famous and infamous, and younger than me.
Not very much.
Not you, a couple weeks ago?
Let's see, George, would you do an evaluation on
But as long as you're not like taking.
Alan's canned speech?
Selling.
Pete, can I do your evaluation?
Earnings.
You're general evaluator, I'm not giving a speech.
Oh, you're not giving a speech?
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
So
I'm
we've got
Toastmasters.
Donna, Stacy, and Alan giving, no, Virginia's giving a speech. Virginia, what speech are you giving?
Uplift the spirit.
Okay, can I evaluate you?
I guess you can.
Okay.
Tell me how long I'm doing it.
You're done.
This is a 10-minute speech, is that correct?
I know what you're doing.
I don't.
Yeah, that's what
I
it
would
says
say,
here.
I know.
8 to 10.
I'd say maybe 6 to 8.
Okay.
Try it, I don't know. If I get talking too long, tell me to be quiet.
Let's see here. Do you recall what the time?
4 to 6.
4 to 6. Okay.
Yeah, it says that in the book.
And
Oh, really?
let's see here. Your speech is
Oh,
5 to 7.
That's what everyone said, but in the book it says 4 to 6.
So it's changed.
Alan. How long is your?
I think you very well said. I just
Yeah,
4 to 6,
and they're all, each
yes,
speech is a
4
little
to
different,
6.
but just go by whatever it says in there.
Okay. Let's see. Donna, your evaluator, I said was who? George, right?
George is Allen's.
George is for Alan?
Mhm.
Okay. And Donna, did we pick one out for you yet?
I don't think so. Who do we have available?
Basically, it's down to Pete and Pete.
Get it,
We
Pete?
need it.
All right, Pete. Where you at?
And then I will get Virginia. Okay.
Okay. Good afternoon, Toastmasters. And we have a guest, Mike Ruddy. Welcome to Toastmasters.
Thank
You
you,
came, I'm assuming you came with Ken?
George.
Oh, George. Well, good.
I don't know if Ken's a member anymore.
I am.
Yep, he is.
Mike was a member in the past.
Oh, well, that was before my time. Well, I'm glad.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
it
was.
was.
Yeah. Well, we're glad to have you back. And Ken, George, Mike, we have a new member, which is Stacy Knutz. Stacy, this is Ken, George, and Mike, and we will all learn a little bit more about Stacy today when she gives her first speech. But before we get going too far, let's all rise and do the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And while we're standing, let's do the Toastmasters vision.
Toastmasters International empowers people to achieve their full potential and realize their dreams. Through our member clubs, people throughout the world can improve their communication and leadership skills and find the courage to change.
Thank you. I believe we have 4 speeches today, so we will get started with that. I would like to just mention a few things that we should probably go over before Pete comes up. Stacy will be giving her first speech. Who do we have for a timer today?
Let's see here.
Did George be doing it?
Can you sit in on that?
All right, we're gonna have George. Jim, would you like to give a little information about the lights? Stacy would probably like to know about the times and the lights.
Yeah,
Her
Stacy,
speech.
the green minute, normally in a speech, now you are at 4 to 6. So at 4 minutes, the green light will come on. At 5 minutes, the amber, the second light will go on. And then at 6 minutes, the red light will go on. That gives you a guideline. And this varies with cable topics and various speeches and various lengths of time.
Okay, thank you, Jim. And Alan, you wanna just remind us, you sent out a very nice email on our dues.
Our dues for another 6 months. I'd like to have them in hopefully by March 15th, in a little less than 2 weeks, a little more than 2 weeks, and they are $40 for the 6 months, and they checked out to Glendive Toastmasters, and if you have cash, I will accept that and make sure that it gets credited towards your membership.
Couldn't I new?
Noon.
New, oh, new.
No Toastmasters.
All right, today our Toastmaster is Pete Bruno, who is also our VP of Education. So let's invite Pete up to the lectern here and tell us a little more about what all it is. Thank you.
Several of you today will receive an email suggesting that it might be helpful to all of us for us to pick whether the time we usually give the speech is the second or fourth Thursday of the month. So if you have a preference, that would be a good email to respond to. Congratulations are due to Jim for completing another certificate. Jim seems to be working his way up and down the ladder. I think he's gotten almost all the way up to the top, and now he's working his way back down, which is permissible as we continue to make achievements. So congratulations to Jim for Advanced Communicator Bronze. And just so you all know, we've had a problem with remembering the schedule, and so the schedule is now on the card in this binder, which will be less likely to grow feet or blow away from that draft in the room in which the card is stored. And just a reminder, officers, next week we're meeting down at my office because of the blood draw. So those are the announcements that I have. So next week down in the conference room in my office building, please, officers. So without further ado, welcome to our Toastmasters meeting. It's my pleasure to serve as Toastmaster. And one of the things I want Stacy to know is if all of a sudden she gets into a wonderful story, she's got 30 seconds after the red light comes on to conclude. So red doesn't mean you're done, it just means you need to be ready to be done. So Alan's going to be first today. I am liking the introductions people are doing. I chuckled over several of them, and Alan's is one of them. Alan's, as our first speaker, wants us to know that he joined Toastmasters in 2006, and he's been working on his Advanced Communicator series of speeches, and when he completes 10 more advanced speeches, he's going to achieve Advanced Communicator Gold. So way to go, Alan. Now, Alan mentions that lately he's been presenting canned speeches because for each manual, advanced manual of 5 speeches, to get the award for the 10, you've got to do, for each 5, you've got to do one of the Toastmasters Better Speaker Series speeches. And so this Better Speaker Series speech today is no exception. And today's is knowing your audience. We have a better chance of being interesting and effective presenters when we know our audience, and Alan should go from 4 to 6 minutes also, George. So Alan, come and educate us about knowing each other.
Thank you, Pete. Excuse me, I'm trying to turn off my phone, and seems like technology doesn't always work for me, but appreciate your patience. My speech today is about knowing your audience, and in order to give a effective and interesting speech, you must know who your audience is going to be. One of the things you need to know is the age range of your audience. Let's say that you're giving a speech on computer technology. And if the majority of your audience is between 15 and 30, you can be probably pretty sure that they're going to know all the jargon, computer facts and things like that. But if your audience is, let's say, 50 or over, most of these people will not necessarily have as good a grasp on technology as maybe like Mr. Jim Squires does. Anyway, so you need to tailor your speech to the age of your audience. And another thing, male to female ratio. I think if the majority of your audience is female, I think they're more tuned into details, whereas the male is more of an abstract thinker, and so you need to tailor your speech to the male or female. Educational background. If you have an audience that's college level or maybe higher, they're probably going to be understand what you're saying regarding, let's say, computer technology. And people who are of less education and who may be older, they may not necessarily know all of the computer things, so you have to kind of think of people's education. Political orientation is another thing you need to know. It probably wouldn't be a good idea to go into a Republican-dominated audience and talk about the pros of abortion, things like that, because Republicans are usually more conservative. And another thing that you need to know is, why are these people listening to whatever I have to say? Some people may want to be informed, maybe regarding computer technology. If you're in a session where you need to be training, actually hands-on work with, let's just say, computers, you need to probably be a little more detailed regarding the function of the computer and things of that nature. If people are looking maybe to be entertained, then that would be a good thing to maybe insert a joke or two to maybe liven up your speech a little bit more. And so you can't really give a really good speech unless you know who your audience is. And once you know your audience, you're going to want to being a more effective speaker, and the audience will get more out of your speech. Thank you. Asked one of the
premises of his speech. How many of you, if you received an email or a text on a cell phone, would know what LOL means? Almost everybody. Laugh out loud. Almost everybody. So
Lots of
yeah, so he's absolutely correct. Very, very good. Well, Donna's got something here on the table that's just intriguing to me. And Donna's going to go ahead and speak from the Entertaining Speaker's Manual. And she's going to speak on cabin fever. To brighten our outlook and help us survive this stretch of bad weather. Donna?
Thank you, Pete. Good afternoon, Toastmasters. It's cold outside. At least I certainly thought it was cold, but I was stopped by the post office on my way before I came here, and there was an amount of his chest hair. He was definitely an adult, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that is way too cold. Anyway, is anyone here tired of winter yet?
Yeah.
Oh, I know, I sure am. I have reached outside to more snow and more freezing temperatures. I say some awfully bad words. Darn groundhog. Ugh. I know, it's not the groundhog's fault, even though he was the one that proclaimed we were going to have 6 more weeks of winter, soggy gloves, and wet snow boots. I'm ready for green grass and blooming flowers. I'm ready for spring. I'm sure that I'm not the only one here that's suffering from cabin fever. We can't control the forecast, and we can control our attitude and how it affects our outlook. I'm trying to stay positive and thinking that we are almost through with winter and that spring is just around the corner. I have some ideas on what we could do to brighten up our attitude and get us through these last few weeks of winter. It would be wonderful if we could all hop on a plane and go someplace warm to the tropics. It's like the Beach Boys saying, Aruba, Jamaica. I won't go on, you don't want to hear that. These places all sound wonderful, but they may not be an option. However, all of us do have the option of having a staycation at home. A staycation is simply staying at home and enjoying the surroundings around you. You mix things up, do something a little different. You could sleep in your guest bedroom. You could take time and enjoy the attractions around Glendive. Glendive offers several museums and a very nice art gallery. You could eat at a restaurant that you don't normally go to, or at home you could put on some music and eat by candlelight. Or if it's not too cold outside, you could barbecue some hot dogs, make some potato salad, spread out a blanket on the living room floor, and have a picnic. You could also kick back with a fruity summer drink, complete with a little umbrella and a straw. Tap into your inner child. Go outside and blow some bubbles. Watching those bubbles float around is fun for all ages. Even my dog likes to go out and try to catch all those bubbles. At our house, we have what's called a party night. We spend the evening playing cards, board games, or puzzles. These are all fun ways to spend time interacting with each other. Or if you want some quiet time alone, take a long, hot bubble bath. Ladies, you could paint your fingernails, fun, bright color. And don't forget, be sure to paint your toenails too. We may not be able to put our sweaters away just yet, but we can freshen them up with a bright shirt underneath, fun jewelry, or a colorful scarf, or for the guys, you could put on a colorful tie. You could add fresh flowers or plants around the house or the office. And as the saying goes, take time to stop and smell the roses. Pick up the phone and call an old friend or a relative. Spend that time catching up with them. You'll be so glad you called them, and it will certainly brighten their day. Get moving. Get out and go for a walk. If it's too icy or too cold outside, you could walk here at the hospital, or you could go up to the college and walk. Or you could put on some music at home and work out. Working out, breaking a sweat, burning some calories, that's a great way to lift your attitude. Plus, it gets you really warm. Start a new hobby or rekindle an old one. Volunteer at an organization. Speaking of organization, this is a perfect time to organize those closets and those junk drawers. While you're at it, try rearranging your furniture. Change your pictures or your knickknacks. You don't have to buy new ones. You can just swap them around from room to room. Or my mom and I were always switching back and forth between our stuff. We don't know who owns what, but we sure have fun sharing. Sometimes just changing the surroundings around you, it gives you a fresh, renewed feeling. Then you can invite your friends and family over and show off your newly rearranged furniture, and chances are they're probably suffering from cabin fever also. We cannot control the weather, but we can control our attitude. Weather, as with life, changes without our permission. It's our attitude that determines the ride. I've given you some fun and easy suggestions that we could all do at any time to brighten up our outlook. So for now, embrace the weather and enjoy these last few weeks of winter. Stay positive, think spring, and remember, wherever you go, no matter what the weather, always bring your own sunshine.
As already mentioned, Stacy is our newest member, and she's gonna break the ice with us for 4 to 6 minutes. So here comes Stacy and her icebreaker. Won't you welcome Stacy as she gives us
Thank you. Tough act to follow. I wish icebreaker should have to go first. Thank you, Toastmaster Pete. Well, hello. My name is Stacy Knutz. This is my first official Toastmaster speech. Thank you to the audience. I kept thinking as the icebreaker speech was approaching after my first couple meetings as icebreaker. I know what it is. I'm good at it. Where does it come from? What does it mean? So, after Googling and a little bit of procrastination, I came up with 2 definitions. 1, an icebreaker can be defined as a special purpose ship or boat designated to move or navigate through ice-covered waters. Perfect, right after your sunny speech. We're melting it already. The second is defined as an icebreaker as an exercise intended to help people or group begin the process of forming themselves into a team. They often focus on sharing personal information, such as names, hobbies, to help members get to know each other. I think that's our purpose here today, for me and my icebreaking. Well, I think that the 2 can be merged and the both can be true, combined in a philosophy. If we consider life as one big slab of ice, and we are the vessels in which we're moving forward, breaking the ice, all while forming relationships, families, all along the way. I would consider myself a natural icebreaker. Not necessarily when it comes to me or giving out my personal information, but I love to get to know other people and for them to give me their personal information. I love getting to know people and things about them. One thing I've realized that not everybody likes to break the ice as soon as I do, but ice melts, and we aren't going for global warming, right? Everyone warms up to it. To begin my icebreaking, I guess I should tell you a little bit about myself. As I said, my name is Stacy Knutz, and I am the recruitment specialist and outreach coordinator here at Glendive Medical Center. I've been here for nearly 6 years. Me and my husband live 25 miles northeast of Glendive on the old Mill Iron Ranch. One thing I've realized, first timer, right? Most people say that my husband and I are opposites. Opposites attract, right? My husband is very shy, quiet, very rarely speaks in public, and when he does, he's not often heard because he's not speaking loud enough. Me, however, you can hear me from a mile away, and don't worry, I talk enough for the both of us. He has his go-to wardrobe, hat, same jeans, same jacket, same shirt. I like to mix it up and never wear the same thing twice. Different hair, red, blonde, brunette, any of it all goes for me. I grew up in Billings, Montana with my parents and my older sister, Stephanie. My parents still live in Billings, and my sister lives in Boston with her son, Henry, and her husband, Todd. I love me some Henry. I cannot get enough. Boston is never close enough. He is perfect in every way. After high school, I attended the University of Montana, Missoula. Go Grizz! I'm not a diehard. It's just a good time. Missoula is an epic town for college students. Sometimes the line is blurred if you're there to be educated or there just to have a good time. I did a little of both and just did enough learning to get through, and I graduated with a bachelor's of business management. How did I end up in Glendive? That's the question. Never thought I would. During my last semester of my senior year, I casually met Casey, my now husband. It wasn't love at first sight. We were simply at the same place at the same time. We knew friends of friends. To save you all the details of the gooing and the guying, basically a couple coincidences happened where, again, we ended up in the same place, same time. He knew I would be moving on out of the state to Dallas, and I knew that he lived in Glendive, a place I knew nothing about, nor did I want to. About a week before I was moving to Dallas, my grandmother from North Dakota unexpectedly passed away. Casey, in that shy cowboy way, unexpectedly showed up to my grandma's wake. Well, as they say again, opposites do attract, and the rest is history. I did move to Dallas, as I had intended. I got a job in advertising, selling advertising to car dealerships. When I moved to Dallas, I didn't know a soul, not even a friend's sister's cousin's third aunt. My ice-breaking natural ability came in very handy. I lived in Dallas for about a year and a half, and Casey came down for a few months during the ranch's slow time. It came to the point that something had to move, and Texas is big, but not big enough for a 20,000-acre ranch. I decided to move to Glendive. I was commuting back and forth to Dallas about a couple times a month while living here, until unexpectedly, Glendive Medical Center posted a recruitment specialist position. First time they'd ever done so, and I happened to land it, and it is a perfect match. I love my job and all the people that I get to interact with, as well as break the ice with, either if it's slow or fast. My whole life changed moving to Glendive. I don't think anybody who knows me outside of Glendive would have ever expected I live on a ranch in eastern Montana, but that's life. Flashing forward today, I've been in Glendive for almost 7 years, been working here for 6. Today, I enjoy getting involved in community. I am an active Lion member. I volunteer on various boards, such as the Miss Montana previously, the Badlander Run, which is a 5K, 10K fun run walk, and you can often see me at any GMC-sponsored event. I also, in my free time, have taken up going to amateur rodeos where my husband competes as a cap roper. If you've not been in the summertime to western North Dakota or eastern Montana, such as Camp Crook, Rame, Marmot, Brockway, Circle Ritchie, they're pretty entertaining if there's a rodeo going on. When I travel beyond Montana and North Dakota, I typically go to 2 destinations, Boston or Vegas. As I said before, my sister lives in Boston. I'm going there in a couple weeks for St. Patrick's Day. It should be fun. Well, when I'm home, charging my batteries, as my husband says, I like to be lazy and watch movies. I have the perfect life. I can be out there going, being social, as well as at home doing nothing. I hope this gave you a little bit of understanding about me, and that I was successful in breaking the ice. I look forward to meeting all of you and continuing to grow our relationships and keep going through the ice. Thank you.
And maybe I should say, be careful in Boston with the Irish.
With red hair.
Next week
Oh,
we'll see.
my. Well, keeping our attitudes positive and having a good sense of humor are hallmarks of our next speaker. Virginia volunteers in our nursing homes by reading Bible stories to the residents who come, and she tries to be an encouragement to each of them. Today, she's going to share with us how to have a positive attitude in a speech entitled, "It's Important to Have a Positive Spirit." Won't you welcome Virginia to the lecture?
got this book recently, and I thought you might be interested to just hear a little bit about this lady, Leacham. Maybe you've seen her on movies or whatever, but she's been in movies for a long time. She's done a lot of that. And I thought it was very interesting. I just want to share this. It says that Leacham has always had a strong sense of what's important off screen. She's been a vegetarian most of her adult life and spends a good portion of her downtime surrounded by her family. And she shares a house in Los Angeles with her daughter Dinah and her husband and Dinah's 8-year-old daughter. But while Leacham is snuggling in bed, there's a tap on her door, and Dinah slips into her room. And what do you think she brings in the room with her? Leacham's dog. And she looks at her daughter and she says, I feel the same way, that this is the most important thing in my life, is her dog being brought to her. Thought that was interesting, and how God can give us total peace at a time when we couldn't have it. I mean, normally we wouldn't have that peace. One of the things reminds me of when I was in second grade, I was only 6 years old. And I know we had a lady come to our public school that day to start a children's choir in our school, have them come and sing. And I always stayed after school and erased the chalkboard for my teacher. She never asked me to, but she never said I couldn't do it either. And so when I got through, or if there were papers laying on the floor the kids dropped, I'd pick all of that up off the floor. That was just me. It's just probably my personality. And so I went to see the teacher, or the lady that was going to start children's choir after school. She was going to, listen to any child that wanted to come. So she's right across the hall from our classroom. So I go over there and I said, I'd like to join children's choir. And she says, okay. So she plays 4 notes. So she plays this note, bong. And I go, bong. She go, bong. I go, bong. 4 notes. She looks at me at the end and she said, no, you cannot be in children's choir. You don't have one idea what note I'm playing. Okay. And I just walked out of the school, get down on the sidewalk, and I just start singing the children's songs that children learn. MacDonald had a farm, Bible courses you learn in Sunday school. And I get a block from the school. And I don't know how many songs I sang during that time, but 1 block from the school, out of my mouth in that song I was singing came 4 of the most beautiful adult tenor notes I have ever heard in my life. Your best musicians sound like this in comparison to those notes. And it gave me such total peace. And only one of the pastors we had, only one of the songs he sang had about that much better than the best musicians, that those sounds came at that time. And I know our attitude should be positive, because if something terrible happens to us, such as did me in second grade that year, I still had total peace. It didn't make me feel totally put down or kicked about. Thought that was so awesome how God can do that. And I know that, another one here, when we were over, my husband and I were over in Kenya, that my husband got very ill. So I ended up taking him to the hospital in Kenya, in Nairobi, Kenya, and the doctor said that he would probably die. And he was I got him there the second time after the doctor's appointment on Monday morning And then by Wednesday at noon, about 5 minutes after noon is when he passed away. But God gave me total peace. I never dreamed I would be like that at all. I thought I was going to be just a normal life. God gave me total peace at that time. And then when the nurse came and said the doctors wanted to talk to me, because they tried for about 40 minutes to bring him back to life again. And doctors want to see you. So I go up and I follow them down to the room, their little conference room at the end of the ICU room, and they say, please have a seat. Well, I could definitely sit down, say I could come in at the middle of the table there, and they would come way up. One would sit over here, the other one would sit at the end. I had plenty of time to sit down. They sat down, and I was still standing. And they looked at me with shocked looks on their faces. And I says, I just want to thank you for everything you did for my husband. I never dreamed I'd be like that. But you did everything you could possibly do for him, and I just want to thank you for being so kind. You know, it's awesome how God can give us total peace in our hearts, because we can't get that from human beings, but he gives total peace in how we can be the one to help others, just uplift their lives to God too, and to be kind to each other.
I'm going to ask Nancy to come now as we get ready to move into table topics with her word of the day. So, Nancy, if you come on up, I'll get the table topics.
The word of the day is contemplative.
Yep.
It means meditative or thoughtful. Something about her contemplative nature appealed to him.
Yay. Okay. Well, we've got some oldies but goodies with us, and so I think we ought to go ahead and ask them to do table topics with us so we get a chance for everyone to have a moment in the sun. So Virginia is also our Sergeant of Arms, so if you'd send ballots to her for best speech, please, that would be good. So Mike, let's start with you if you would. Just go ahead and pick one, anyone. And we're looking for about 1 to 1.5 minutes on this.
I gotta give a speech now,
You get to give a little speech.
right now.
A little impromptu,
You get 2 minutes.
Going, go up there.
You're right where you're at is fine.
Okay, this, of all the great success stories that you heard or read about, which one do you find the most inspiring? Well, I remember reading a story about Russell. He was I can't remember his first name. He was a basketball player for the Boston Celtics. And he was talking about the greatest challenge that he ever had, and it was playing against Wilt Chamberlain, who played for the Los Angeles Lakers. And he says, with him, you got to know his weak spot, and you got to know his strong points, his whether he's feeling good today or feeling bad, or if he can shoot from this side or not. And every game he had to play with him. It was always one-on-one with him, trying to learn or try to keep him from scoring. Of course, Russell himself was very good himself at scoring, and Chamberlain was the same way. It was always the same way, and they kind of had this competition. He would play on one the all-star team, and Chamberlain the other, and they always be stuck on one-on-one against each other. And towards the end of his career, they had the most respect for each other. They didn't try all this trash talk with one another. They knew exactly how the guy felt, how he was gonna respond, and they were the best of friends. After you think, after these much competition, that you could still have friends like that, and you're supposed to be your enemy or whatever. But anyhow, he was very good at checking out on Russell, and he was very good at Chamberlain was very good at checking out on Russell, and he was good at checking out on Chamberlain. And that's the great, I think that's a success story. The fact that we can have competition, but we don't need to have enemies.
Thank you very much. I'll come over to this side, that'll be 10. I went to services. Fellow Toastmasters and guest of Christmas Masters, Mike. What is the one vacation destination that many people think is just fabulous, but which you personally have no desire ever to visit or revisit? That's a tough one because I like to travel and I like to find places to go, but I think I guess my least favorite parts of the country are probably the southeast, but I've been all over, and like right now I'm thinking about there's a cruise that goes from Los Angeles to Shanghai. So it's a 22-day cruise, and it might end up in Osaka, Japan too. It'll be a little bit longer cruise. But I haven't found anybody to go with me yet, so I might not go with it. Boat leaves April 3rd from Los Angeles, and it's a pretty reasonably priced cruise because those long cruises are shipped mostly empty. But as far as places I don't like to go, I just haven't found any place like that. So thank you, Ken. And George Altheim, you.
Fellow Toastmasters, Master, if you could at this very moment take a ride on anything in the world, what would you most want to ride? Well, I believe that I would probably pick one of the fast trains in Europe. I think I've ridden in airplanes, and I always have that feeling that I'm a little bit glad when I hit the ground. A little uncertain, even though I know they're pretty safe. Now in the car, when you're driving a car, you have to be a little aware of what the other person is like. And in a train, you also have to trust, of course, the engineer and the tracks. I did ride in a train in France one time that was going 250 miles an hour. And I thought, if you could have a train that went 250 miles an hour, it would really give the airlines a little bit of competition. Because you just got on and you got off at the same level. But the only time we really noticed I was going fast is when we went over a bridge. But my wife was sitting backwards and she got a little bit seasick. I guess everybody has their own opinion, but I would think if we had a rail system that we could have 250 mile an hour trains, we would get a lot of traffic off the highways.
Thank you, George. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mike. So let's go ahead and turn control of the meeting over to our general evaluator to get the evaluations from the granular report and the balloting taken care of. And if you would please send your table topic ballots down to Virginia also if you care to vote. Jim?
Thanks, Pete. We have 4 evaluations. Actually, Donna will be evaluated by you, Pete. Are you
That's
ready
true.
for that?
I am.
Please proceed.
Okay. Donna was to have given us a speech that fit her personality and that entertained us. As I looked around and listened, I saw and heard grins, smiles, and chuckles. And her speech was to have not only fit her personality, but also had some of her life, some anecdotal evidence in it. And Donna, you succeeded very well at that. And the fit for her personality, something that she would be comfortable with and fit her to a T, you achieved that also. The part that seemed to have the greatest effect was the takeaway that you gave us at the end, the conclusion, so that we could go forth and also be sunshine in the lives of others. One of the things that the speech called for was for her body language and vocal variety to add impact to her presentation. And I noticed Donna in her stance and in her gestures and in her words was very open and comfortable during this presentation. And so, Donna, I really struggled for anything you could improve with that. And the only thing I could come up with a question mark after it was maybe open with even a bigger bang. So thank you very much.
The next evaluation, Ken, would you evaluate Stacy? You can evaluate from where you are. All right, if you'll stand there.
Mr. Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and especially Stacy, who was giving her icebreaker speech. I really enjoyed this speech. This is a good speech without being an icebreaker. But as an icebreaker, it was outstanding, I thought. And I'll tell you the things I liked about it. It was really well organized. You had the lead in of that icebreaker ship, and you summed it up nicely at the end. It flowed very well. I was really impressed with the organization. I was also impressed with the time. You don't have to meet a time in icebreaking, but oftentimes people get up in the first time, they'll speak for 20 minutes. They don't have a clue as to how long it takes to say something. And you spoke for 7 minutes and 15 seconds. A little bit, but that's great. That's really well. Good preparation, everything. One thing I would say, you could slow down a little bit. You were going over your life, and when you talk fast like that, you kind of trivialize, and every bit of your life is important. So slow down and make those points, and maybe just put less information out, on the short speech like this. One thing, you really used notes well. I was surprised. And but what I would do if you want to expand your abilities is to try to speak without notes. And you can do it. There's some tricks you can use. You use a speech that has a chronology to it. Like we went to here, and then we went there, and then we went there. Then you don't have to. That's easy to remember. There's some other tricks. You can say like black is better than white, or reverse, doesn't matter. And then give 3 points why that's so. Expand your ideas, sum up your ideas. You got a 7-minute speech right there. And you don't have to remember anything except those 3 points. So I was impressed, and as an icebreaker, it was just outstanding. And I think you're going to do well in this organization, and then you're going to get a lot out of it. So keep up the good work.
George, I'll call on you to evaluate Alan at this time.
Toastmasters, especially Alan, again, Alan, I enjoyed your speech, and you mentioned when Alan started. And being a member at that time, I can't help but see the improvement that Alan's made in this particular organization. And I was impressed with your confidence that you're in this evaluation form. It says, as I saw you. Right away, I noticed you were giving good hand gestures. That caught my eye. You had a good rate for your voice, and you were confident. And I think that affects how you speak. And it was very interesting. I think it was a topic that we all should be aware of when we're giving a speech. Who are we talking to? And if it's somebody, if I start talking mathematics and somebody doesn't give a hoot about that, through my life I've found everybody isn't quite as interested in that. So it does make a difference who you're talking to. You know, having an effective speaker. So I guess the purpose of this speech was to educate us, and I think you did a good job of that. I think your voice was very good. This is how I reacted to you, and it was very favorable. What is the purpose? Did you achieve it? Yes. Was the talk interesting? Yes. It probably was a little bit short. It could have been maybe a little bit longer. And I don't know when it says how you could improve this speech. So this is something I just laugh. You, the rest of you too. Maybe it's the old school teacher. How about gum chewing when you're doing this? Is that favorable or not? How do you feel about it? Or am I just being old-fashioned and picky? This isn't a big deal, but it is something I noticed that somebody gets up to speak. Just to throw that out there. Get it if you want, or take it into consideration. Very good speech, Al.
Thank you. The fourth speech, Virginia, was it's important to have a positive spirit. I will evaluate that. I watched your audience reaction to see how you reacted. I think people were paying very close attention because she was coming from the perspective of actual events of her life. That put down as a child attempting to join the choral group. The way she coped when doctors were going to inform her of her husband's passing. Those kinds of things, those actual events, wow. I mean, those stories, they're big, they're huge, in fact. And to touch a person with those kinds of things is a very positive event. You were really paying attention. I looked at everybody's face to see where they were, and everybody was really glued to try to catch the stories. I like the contrast that she provided between the peace that she felt and when she was put down. Fact is, you don't have to please everybody. You know, that was what came to my mind. And are we trying to please everybody, or are we trying to do what we feel to be right at the moment in time? Did you satisfy everyone's expectations? Probably not. Did you do a good job? I think you did a good job. Could you do a better job? Yes, I think you can do a better job. And I would just leave it at that. I was uplifted. And I'll leave that alone. Okay. With that, did anyone use the word of the day, Nancy?
Only her.
Not as yet. The timers report then. George, would you be able to share that with us?
Toastmasters Stacy. These necessarily aren't the order I gave this. The order that I wrote them down. Your name, Stacy, was 7 minutes and 15 seconds, which is well, 10 minutes. Ellen, yours was 3:43, so it's about 15 seconds short, probably, of what you're supposed to be. Virginia's 6:37. That's right about where you're at. One of them wasn't. 6 minutes and 37. Donna's was 5:20. That's right in the ballpark too. And then we have the table topics. Mike was 2 minutes 19 seconds. Ken was 1 minute 21 seconds, and mine was 1 minute 23 seconds. They're all supposed to be over a minute. We have evaluations. Pete was 1:30. Ken's was 2:35. Mine was 2, and Jim was 1:33.
Thank you. you would leave me that slip at the end, I'll make sure that I get those numbers. What am I missing? Am I overlooking something? My general evaluation. We started just slightly after 12 o'clock. We're going to conclude just before 1 o'clock. It's been a productive meeting. We get 4 speeches in. I'd like to get that much activity in a single meeting. Some of the other clubs that I serve as the Miles City Club is good. They will put speeches through like we do, one right after another, get the evaluations done, and a general evaluation at the close. Do a great job at that. The group in Williston is still working on 1 speech, 1 evaluation, and they occupy about 55 minutes with that. And so they're still in that process of learning, but they're coming along. I was up there. I left at 3:30 again yesterday morning and went up for the meeting, and I did complete their Toastmasters training up there just yesterday. That concludes my evaluation.
Thank you very much. If you've had a chance to vote for speaker, table topic, and evaluator, Virginia may be ready to give a report, at least on the first 2. And while Virginia gets ready, I'm just going to thank Mark for being so gracious to come with a speech and understand that we were running out of time. And he's been researching his topic for 2 months, so we'll have him on the schedule in 2 weeks, our second Thursday, to go ahead and tell us the results of his hard work. Virginia?
Okay. Our best evaluator today is Ken. And George, we have as the best table topics. And Donna's the best speaker.
I'll get that going. And Donna, any other business before our next meeting?
Well, I'm sure this isn't the first time that Mr. Scarrett has mentioned not necessarily my gum chewing. I'm hoping he was talking to Alan, but yes, I was chewing gum also. And when I put it in, I thought, be sure to spit that out before the meeting starts, and I didn't. But remind me next year. So yes, thank you, George, on that. And Ken, I loved your comment. Every bit of your life is important. I will be sure to use that. I really like that. I thought it was a great meeting. And as Pete said, we'll be at his office next Thursday.
Right, officers next Thursday, mine, and then back here in 2 weeks for our regular club meeting. Congratulations. Thank you. And we'll get this done as well. And then we are adjourned. So let me think here. So best evaluator was Ken and best table topics was George, if I've got that right. Is that right?
Yeah. Correct.
Okay. Well, I've been given a whole stack of ribbons, but I've got to find the right one. So folks, we are adjourned. If you need to get back to work, please feel free.
Pete?
I have one at my office.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just wondered, maybe talk a little bit,
Okay. Just a second.
yeah, sure.
Let me get this over to Ken. Congratulations, sir.